Ex-BET executive Deborah Lee talks about abuse she faced at the hands of BET founder Bob Johnson.
Well, I wanted to tell that story because the power dynamics are so important in a relationship, and especially if you're having a relationship with someone you work for.
Right.
And we all know the potential pitfalls. I worked for Bob Johnson for 10 years before we had a personal romantic relationship, and he was a mentor, and he pushed me, and he's responsible for a lot of my success. We did have a relationship while we were both married. We ended up both divorced, and then people knew about the relationship. The company knew, public, we started going places together. The downfall of a relationship like that is if you want to get out of it. And that's the part where it came, and I wanted to break up. I saw it wasn't a long-term relationship, and my job and my career was held over my head. And it was like, well, if you want to break up with me, then you can leave tomorrow. And that was, 20 years into my career at BET, so I would have lost everything.
Yeah.
I would have lost my career, my job, my ability maybe to get another job, because if I couldn't get a reference for the person I worked for 20 years, how do I explain that? And by that time, I was a single mother with 2 children. So it was a tough time, and I didn't have anyone to talk to about it because I didn't have female role models. There weren't a lot of women ahead of me. I was embarrassed to talk to my family about it. So it was a dark time, and what saved me was therapy. And eventually Bob left the company and I became CEO. And I was CEO for 13 years without him being there, and I was able
A lot of success.
Right, and to live my dream, and without any form of harassment. So I guess after Me Too and Time's Up, I wanted women to know there's other kind of harassment. It's not all a man coming to the door in a robe.
Wow. Did y'all hear that? So this is interesting because Deborah Lee, and let me just preface this by saying, I don't condone any forms of harassment. I don't condone holding someone's job over their head. But then we have to ask, what is our definition now of harassment? And does it differ from what has been widely used as an advancement tool? Advancement tool. A way to get ahead. So Deborah Lee, former executive at BET, former, CEO of BET, had a relationship now, and she's just now coming out about it in a memoir. It's funny, a lot of people use this, and this should be examined. They use a moment like selling a book to release their most salacious moments, right? Though she said everybody at BET seemed to know about it after the fact, after they were outside of the relationship. This was a consensual relationship with someone who was her superior, right? This is where we get into trouble, fellas, because if you come in as a superior and you have a relationship with a subordinate, that could be looked at as fraternization or something of the sort, right? But in this case in particular, the company was aware. It was signed off on. And the relationship was happening while Bob Johnson was married. While both of them were married. What do we say? Fair exchange is no robbery. Can you now relitigate a consensual relationship years after the fact, after both of you all have left the company? Can you now come back and say, well, you know what? Since Me Too and Time's Up, I think I was actually being harassed. She mentions a sucker move again She mentions a sucker move again of you break up with me, you lose your job. At this point, it's he said, she said. It's he said, she said. Unless there is some legal document stating that fact, or unless he comes out and just admits, yeah, that's exactly how it was. But that is a sucker move if it is proven. But what we're not going to do here, right? We're not going to say that this woman who was hand in hand with this man while building this company, for the most part, is somehow an innocent. That she used this man to climb the ladder of success and turned around and points the finger at him and said he harassed me. Because what's to say if she's not disgruntled and decides, hey, this is actually a chance for me to get back at somebody that I don't like anymore. Bob Johnson, legendary, sold BT for billions of dollars, right? But now he's got to have his legacy tarnished in his old age. Let me see how old he is. At 76 years old, she is now 68 years old and now telling this story. Is this something that we're going to have to deal with now? Is this something that is going to be the commonplace now? Because if so, you got to inform us that these relationships are going to be changed as they go along. They're going to be changed as the years go by. This means a consensual relationship you have with somebody in 1996 in 2026 might come back to bite you in the ass. A consensual relationship, because not only was she in a relationship with him when he was married, after they both got divorced, they got back into a relationship. Is there any, it's funny because even after Bob left the company, she becomes the highest position at the company. So what does that mean? It could mean she was an excellent executive, right? But it also means that she built herself up alongside this man while screwing this man. Do you think that could have had any influence on how she was pushed through the ranks? Do you think there was somebody else that could have been at the company that could have been better suited or more qualified for the position? This is what I'm saying. Why can women pick and choose when they want to be a victim or the victor? It's fine as long as you're winning on the game, but as soon as you're losing in the game, declining in age, 68 years old, now grasping for relevance, money grab, selling a book, not as sexually attractive as you once were. Now now you come back and rewrite history. And this is all alleged, right? This is all alleged. Because it's in her book doesn't make it true or not. Her telling of this story doesn't make it true. There's her side and there's his side. And there's the truth. And you can't come out here and just write a book, go on a press tour, and assume everybody is just going to buy that is the truth. It's just like when people talk about your truth, No, there is the truth. There is an actual truth that exists devoid of who is telling it. There is no your truth. So yeah, this is interesting, but also heads up, fellas. This means the relationship you had. And how many workplace romances are there? The relationship you had can be used against you. Your sexual desire can now be used against you. So I hope people are taking notes. I hope people see what's happening, what's going on. And if Bob Johnson is guilty of these things, I hope he faces the consequences for them. Right? Like, why wasn't there an EEOC complaint filed? Why wasn't there a lawsuit? You know, if there, you know, why are you going to divulge that they gave you some hush hush money because you didn't say anything about it until you wrote a book about it? Why are you talking about it now? Has the statute of limitation expired? I don't know. All interesting questions. But anyway, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification for all uploads. Hit the links in the description to support the channel. This is Faucette Media.